Hi, welcome to C++ course. Today we are going to see an overview of C++. Right. So before we getting into C++, first let's see what is computer. Right. So you will not see any organization without a computer. Right. Computer is there everywhere. Okay. But it performs smart things. Do you think computers are intelligent than us? Computers not intelligent as we are. So what we are doing, we are giving instruction to perform those intelligent tasks for us. Computer is created for us, right? It will create, it is created by a set of instructions, okay, right? So we have to pass the instruction. So based upon instruction your computer works. So what we can say, so as a programmer, right, we pass some programs to the computer will perform according to our instruction. Okay, so what's the definition of program? So what is program? Right, program is a set of instruction to the computer to perform some task. Right, so when I say a program, right, a program will have, program consists of number one, input, number two, output, number three, math operations like addition, subtraction, etc. Okay, and fourth, it will have decision making. And fifth, we have repetitions. Okay, so these are the things which will be there in every program. Okay, right? So if I say addition, right, it is like it's actually a math operation that will be performed. Okay, so we need to give an input for that through any of your input devices like a keyboard or mouse. Okay, right? So every day, right, we are working with a program. Okay, so the windows, most of the windows APIs, right, the windows GUI is created using a C++. Okay, now when I say the input, right, so the input will be given through a keyboard. Okay, right, and you will see the output through a monitor. Okay, or in the printer, right? Okay, and what are the things that we call as a decision making? Decision making in the sense, right, so if I have n number of lines, okay, I can decide which line can be executed for particular condition. Okay, that is what decision making. If condition is met, which line should I execute? If condition is not met, which line I should execute? Okay, and the repetition means looping, right? Whenever I want to do anything repeatedly, say for example if I want to perform addition, right, 10 times, so I need not to write 10 lines of code. Instead I can write only one line and I can perform 10 times, right, using a loops, right? So the programming has all these features. Okay, now we're getting into the C++. Okay, right, so C++ is actually a extension of C. C++ is a extension of C, or you can say it's a super set of C, or you can say it is better than C. Okay, which means you are seeing the letter C everywhere, right? Which means from the C only it is evolved. Okay, so from the C language, C++ evolved. This C++ has brought into effect, right? So after there are so many consideration by the developer, okay, and in those days when they're using a C language, right, they want a language which support object-oriented programming. The real world, everything are called object. If I say a water bottle, right, okay, it has its own properties like a color, the size, and its behavior, like storing a water, right? So in the same way, whatever you see, even your mobile is object, right? So we want a programming language which supports object oriented program, right? And also we need a, I mean the developer need a programming language which supports a generic programming. What is called generic programming? Generic programming in the sense, if I say a data type called integer, right, I can use it only as an integer. But whereas if I give that variable in the form of template, I can convert that variable into any data type, right? So it is not stick, I not stick only to the one data type. I'll be stick to a many data types. Okay, in runtime I can give any kind of data, right? So that is what we call it as a generic, and they need an abstraction, right? See, as a developer, it is not necessary for us to show everything to a user, right? So we need some functions which can be abstract. Okay, so we can show only whatever is essential. Okay, so that is why so that's why the C++ design goals are: number one, it must support object oriented program, okay, and then it needs a support of abstraction, and it needs a support of generic programming. Okay, so these were the main goals for designing a C++. These functions is not supported using C. Okay, right? So depending upon the type of the project, right, there are many factors that we have to consider for choosing a language, right? So we'll discuss some of the things. Let's see what is called a compiler, right? If I speak French, right, you don't understand because you don't know French. Then, but I want to communicate to you. How do I communicate? I need one translator which converts my language into French. Say for example, I speak English, okay, and you are speaking a French. You don't know anything other than French. So I need a translator to convert my language into your language, like a French, right? So what compiler will do? Compiler will take, it's actually a program, okay? So compiler is a program. Okay, it takes the CPP program as an input and gives mission understandable language as a output. Okay, why do you want to convert into mission understandable language? Because if I want to instruct something to the computer, I have to speak in the language which computer can understand, right? But I do not know how to convert my language into native language. Native language in the sense the computer can understand, right? So what will I do? I need one translator. Okay, so I'll give my C++ program into compiler. The compiler will convert that into the mission understandable language. So once it is converted into a mission understandable language, right, your computer will read that and will perform according to what is the instruction given in the C++ program. Okay, that is how the compiler will help us to convert our language into mission readable language. Okay, then we have another component called interpreter. Okay, now computer understood what we have told. Okay, now how do we receive a response? If computer speaks in its language, do we understand that? No, it is not possible for us to understand. So we need one more program. It is actually called as interpreter. Okay, the interpreter, it takes a machine code and gives you an output. This is what it does. Okay, now when computer sends us the response, sends us the output, okay, after receiving the input, okay, so it will be in the human readable format. Okay, so that is what the compiler and interpreter is very important for any programming language. Okay, but when you compile a C++ program, say for example 1.cpp, you are compiling this program, you know what you will get? You will get 1.obj as the output. This is what the machine understandable language. Once it is compiled, it will be converted into .exe, 1.exe, right? So this 1.exe is called an executable file. So you have to run this code and run this exe file to get the output. Okay, so this is what the job of compiler. So the compiler phase is from 1.cpp to 1.obj. Then the interpreter will work from 1.obj to 1.exe. And we have another form of compiler. One is called a just-in-time compiler. Okay, so here where the languages are quickly compiled. Okay, when the programs written in them need to run. Okay, then there are two levels of language. One is high level language, other one is low level language. What is called low level language? Do you have any idea about the low level language? See, the low level language is actually speaking, it is the language through which you can write the program for any hardware devices like a device driver, right? Or any high performance program that you want to write for a hardware. Okay, so you cannot write that using a high level language, so you have to use a low level language, right? Okay, so since a low level language is subject to all the nuisances of hardware it's accessing, okay, however a program written in a low level language is generally difficult to port to other platform, which means why it is called why I am saying it is called a port. When I write any program using a low level language, why I could not port? Because it is understood only by those device driver. Okay, right? I cannot take that to anywhere. So that is why it is not suggestible to use a low level language. So then what is called high level language? So high level language is easy to understand by the human mind. Okay, such as the objects, the mathematical function. So these are called the high level language. Okay, which is easier to understand when compared to low level language. Okay, and it also takes less development time when compared to low level language. Okay, so but it is impossible to mix both the high level language and low level language. Okay, now let's talk about what are the type system that the C++ is having. The first, it is a type strength. Before we getting into a type strength, let's see what is type system. It actually refers to different types of variables of a language and how to follow, right? Okay, so some language do not have a type. Okay, so if you see the type system, it's a strong or weak, it's a manifest or interpret, it's whether it is a static or dynamic. Okay, when I compare to safe, whether it's a safe or unsafe. Okay, right? So these are called the type system. So these typing characteristics are not necessarily mutually exclusive, and some language can mix them, right? Now coming to the programming paradigm. Okay, so when I say a programming, what is meant by programming paradigm? So the programming paradigm is actually a method, right, or a way of programming that programming language supports, right? So when I say a programming language must be declarative. What is declarative? A declarative language will focus more on specifying what a language is supposed to accomplish rather than by what it means it's supposed to accomplish, right? So instead of saying the what part, okay, it focuses more on what a language is supposed to accomplish, what it is going to accomplish, right? So such a paradigm might be used to avoid the undesired side effects, right? So which is help us to write own code. Okay, then it must be functional. So if I write any program, it must be a functional program. Okay, Functional program means what? Suppose if I write a program for addition of two numbers, okay, it should add a two number. If it adds, then that program is called functional. Okay, so it tries to express a problem in terms of any mathematical equation, right? Okay, then your program, another program pattern, very important program paradigm, it is called a generic. Okay, so it focuses on writing a skeleton algorithm. What is called skeleton? In general, right, we have a skeleton. So the skeleton is actually a structure of the human being, right? So this is where the head is, this is where the leg is, this is where the hands is, this is where the body is, this is where the eyes is. Okay, by looking at the skeleton you can define this is the skeleton of human being, this is the skeleton of the tiger, this is the skeleton of lion, something like that you can find, right? The same way skeleton means it's just a model. Okay, from that many human beings will have different shapes and structures. Okay, but a skeleton is same. Okay, in the same way the generic program focus on writing a skeleton algorithms in terms of types. So as I told you before, right, C or C++ supports a template. So a template means if I declare any variable, that template variable can be accessed as any data type, right? It will not worry about which kind of only integer can be used with the integer, character can be used with the character. No, so you can pass any data type if the variable is template. And then the programming language must be imperative. So what is called imperative? It allows the programmer to give the computer ordered list of instruction without necessarily having to explicitly state the task, right? Then your program must be structured, right? I cannot write a tidy code. Okay, so your program must be structured. Okay, so structured means it is in a proper way, right? So I cannot give x z plus. Okay, so I cannot give x comma y plus z. No, it should have a proper structure. So it should have a x, it should have a plus, it should have a z, right? So x plus z. Okay, it's just a formal structure, right? And next it must be a procedural. Okay, it is actually a procedural means what? It is similar to the imperative paradigm. Okay, so what does is, okay, it is used for creating some functions, okay, like a subroutines. Okay, so those things can be done. Okay, next object oriented. So it expresses the program in terms of object, okay, which are meant to model objects in the real world. Okay, so such paradigm allows a code to be reused in a remarkable way and is meant to be easy to understand. Okay, now so we have seen few terms, right? So you need to understand all those things. So first we spoke about what is compiler, then we spoke about what is interpreter, next we spoke about what the just-in-time compiler. Okay, next we spoke about what is high-level language. So what is high-level language? High-level language is easy to understand, right? And it is help us to write the code faster, so it saves my development time. Okay, and what is low-level language? So this is a language which is used to write some device driver and any kind of a rapid program that I need in connection with hardware. Okay, and next we talked about the type. Okay, the type, which is first one is what is a strength. Okay, let's talk about the type strength. One is strong or weak. Okay, and the second type is, what is the second type we spoke? The second type we spoke is expression. Okay, whether it is manifest or inferred. Okay, and the third one we spoke about is checking, whether it is static or dynamic. Okay, and the next one is talks about the safety, right? So whether it is safe or unsafe. Okay, so still now we are talking about the programs. Okay, so when I say a program, what are the things that we should know about the program? Okay, so blindly we should not start with what is a feature of C++ and what is a C, what is C++, why the C++ involved. So before that, we first let us understand what is called a program. Okay, as a programmer we must know all these things, so that is why I'm talking about all these things, okay, which is very important to you. Next, if you see the programming paradigm, so paradigm is called methodologies. What's the first one we seen? It must be declarative. Okay, it is focused on what the language is supposed to accomplish. Okay, then how it is accomplished. So it focus on what to accomplish, then how to accomplish, right? And the next one is functional. Okay, so when I type any code, okay, a code must do the thing for which it is written. Okay, the example I told is what? This addition of two number. Okay, and the third is generic. Okay, so generic means what? It must be in general, it should not be specific to anything, right? That's why it's focused on writing a skeleton. Okay, so just remember the word skeleton. And the next one is what? The next one is imperative. Okay, it gives an ordered list of instruction, okay, necessarily having to explicitly state the task. Okay, right? So it allows the programmer to give the ordered list of instruction. Okay, that's what the imperative. It gives the ordered list of instruction. Next is what? Structured. Okay, it means neatly organized. You can write any sentences, okay, improperly, but if it is neat and organized, right, it is easy for you to read. Okay, even if you don't write it properly, you yourself, okay, will not understand what you have written. Okay, that leads to a very bad situation. Okay, so it must be structured. Got it? And the next one is what? Procedural. Okay, so it uses a synonym of the imperative. It is same like the imperative, so not much different. So it is same like imperative. When compared to the last one, this is what very important. It is called the object oriented. Okay, right? So why do we need? So we'll express the program in terms of object. In terms of object. Okay, now let us come to features of C++. So okay, let's talk about before we getting into C++ features. Okay, so who has brought this C++? What is the history? What is the history behind the C++? That we need to see, right? Okay, so what is the history behind the C++? See, as I told you, in those days a programmer wanted the language which supports the abstraction, right? Okay, abstraction, generic programming. The C program was not supported. Okay, so the C++ was brought in the year 1979. 1979, the C++ was invented by Jarny Strostrup. Okay, right? So what he has done first, see, one of the language that Strostrup had the opportunity to work with was a language called Simula, okay, which as the name implies is a language primarily designed for simulation. Okay, so the Simula 67 is a language which was a variant that the Stroustrup worked with. Is regarded as the first language to support the object-oriented program paradigm. Okay, then the Stroustrup found that this program was very useful for software development, and however, the Simula language was too slow for practical use. Right? So shortly thereafter, he began to work on C with classes. Right, it's one thing, right? But we never use the classes in C. But what I'm talking about, see, this is where the evolution of C++ starts. So he began to work on C++ with class, which as the name implies was meant to be a superset of C language. So his goal was to add the object-oriented programming into the C language, okay, which was and still is a language well respected for its portability without sacrificing the speed or low-level functionality. So his language included classes, basic inheritance, inlining, default function arguments, and a strong type checking in addition to all the features of C language. So which means he added these features in the C. Okay, then which is base? The C language is the base. So the first C with the classes compiler was called CFront, which was derived from the C compiler called CPRE, okay, which is called CPRE. Okay, so this is what the compiler, okay, from which it derives the CFront. Okay, it is moved to CFront. Got it? Okay, and it was the program designed to translate a C with the class code to ordinary C. So which means they are transferring again back to what? C. Okay, so a rather interesting point is the CFront was written mostly in C with classes, so making it a self-hosting compiler. So which means it hosts its own compiler. Okay, but after 1993, right, the CFront was abandoned because it is difficult to integrate the new features into it. Okay, namely the C++ exceptions. Okay, so he tried to create an exception, right, but that has brought him a failure. Okay, because of that the CFront was stopped. Then after 4 years, it means in 1983, the name of the language was changed from C with classes to C++. So this is where the word C++, so in the year 1983, okay, we got a name C++. Okay, we got a name C++. Okay, so the operator, what is it plus plus operator in the C language? So it's actually increment, right? Okay, so which gives some insight about how the author, okay, the Stroustrup regarded the language. So it's actually the increment of the C language. Okay, so many new features were added, okay, around those times, and they added a virtual function, and they added a function overloading, right? And after that, after 2 years, which means in 1985, oh sorry, yeah, it's 1985. Okay, so he brought a book called the C++ programming language, right? So which is used as the book, okay, which becomes a C++ as a commercial language. So the language was updated again after the 4 years. Okay, it's an updated version. Okay, so in the same year the Borland Turbo C++ compiler have been released as a commercial product. Okay, right? So but in 1998 the C++ Standard Committee published the first international standard version called C++ ISO, right? So in 1998, so he has brought a C++ ISO. Okay, and then after the 2005, right, the same committee has formed and they released, right, the various features that they were planned to add with the latest C++. Okay, and in mid 2011 the new C++ standard library was came into picture, which is called a dubbed C++ 11. So what's the right now what's the current version that we have in a C++ is C++ 11. Okay, so this is the history of the C++ language. Okay, I hope it has given some useful information. Why do we create it, why do we use the C++, why the C++ was invented, and what are the struggle that the Johannes Stroop has faced, right, when working with the Simula 67, right. Okay, now coming to the features, right, it's a compiled language. So why I'm talking this as a feature, right, because this is a language which is converted from the normal language into a machine native code. Okay, allowing it to the one of the fastest language in the world. So the reason for converting our program into a native code, which makes the compiler to work it faster, right, so the execution will be faster. So once you compile it, okay, and it is strongly typed unsafe language. Okay, what does it mean? It means a C++ language that expects the programmer to know what he or she is doing, but allows for incredible amount of control as a result. Okay, so why it is strongly typed unsafe language, right? So the programmer must know what he or she is doing, right? So then I told you that one of the type, right, one of the type is what, the expression, the manifest or inferred, both was supported by C++. Okay, so it allows the flexibility and the meaning of avoiding the verbosity where desired, and also both the static and dynamic type checking also were offered by this using a static method and all, right. And so it offers a many choices, and the C++ is portable, right. So why C++ is portable? Because you can take the exe file anywhere and you can run. Okay, but C++ is platform dependent. It is not platform independent. It's called a platform dependent. Okay, and it gives you the full library support. Okay, so these are the features. So what is the first feature it talks about? The first one is a compiled language, right. It is called the compiled language. Next is what it is, type unsafe. Type unsafe means what, I can convert from any data type to any other data type. Okay, right, that is what the type. And then it is what, a portable. So it is portable, and then one of the features is what, it is object oriented. And then it's a platform dependent, and it supports generic programming, and it also supports the abstraction, right. So these are the features of the C++. Okay, right. So C++ needs to be compiled, as I told you. So why do you want to compile that? Because it will convert into native code. Why do you want to convert into native code? Because if any code is converted into native code, it can run faster, right. Fine. So there are many versions of C, right, and C++. So now coming to the C++ again, right, because I need to tell some more information regarding the C++. So I want to talk more about C++, right. Okay, so the C++ has a version called ANSI C. What is ANSI C++, right? So it has a ANSI C++. Okay, so it is not ANSI C also is there. What is ANSI C++? ANSI C++ version C in general, right? The computer with the Windows and i3 processor. Okay, assume that I have. So on developing the C++ program, okay, so it gives you 1.cpp and at last you will get what, 1.exe. Am I right? So once you get the 1.exe, it can run only in the machine which has a Windows and i3 processor. If I take that 1.exe to any Linux machine, it will not work. Okay, so what I have to do? So I have a ANSI C, okay, in which if I compile any program using ANSI C, I can run in any operating system, whether it's a Mac or Linux. Okay, so it can run in any operating system. That's what I'm trying to say. So which means ANSI C++ is an attempt to ensure that the C++ is portable. So what is called portable? The portability means when I run any program in one operating system, it can be read by any other operating system. That's the point. Okay, and the and the CPP has another feature, right? It's a STL. So as I told you, the HCS standard template library, okay, it will be used in when you develop a real-time projects. Okay, that is what we say STL, standard template. Okay, so I was talking about the generic programming, right? So generic programming came into picture only when the C++ has the feature of using templates, right? Even Java also supports what, generic programming. Okay, because I will work with any data type. Okay, right. Now, so why should I use a C++? That's the other question, right? Okay, so I use a C++ for creating any application, whether it's a desktop application, right, or any mobile application that I can develop. Okay, right. So it is used to write a device driver and other software, okay, that rely on any hardware. Okay, it is widely used for research. Okay, right. So if you are using a Mac OS or a Windows, indirectly you are using a C++, because the primary interface, okay, of those operating system was written in C++. Okay, right. That's why the C++ has more features when compared to C. Okay, now let's look at the environment. So what are all the editors that we have for C++? Editors for writing CPP code. Okay, the first one. So if you use a Windows, right, you can use what textpad, I mean notepad, okay, in Windows, right, and in CentOS you have Vim editor, right, or VI. Okay, so these are the editors that are available. Okay, so if you go to any rich IDE, right, you have a code blocks. Okay, so this is for CPP, and IDE that we have is what we have, Eclipse, and then we have code blocks, then Dev C++. So these are the open source. Okay, so all you need to do is just download, nothing else you can do. But there are some licensed versions also there. Licensed C software is there, like a Borland, Turbo C++, and all. It's not a license. It is not a free license. It's you have to pay and buy. Okay, right. So so these are the things, and then these are the free. Okay, then paid. Paid versions are Turbo C++, then Borland C++. That's simple. Okay, right. So if you are using a compiler, Okay, so most of the C++ compiler don't care what extension you give in a source code, but if you don't specify, right, otherwise many will use .cpp. Okay, so your files of C++ code must have an extension .cpp. Say for example, if my file is 1.cpp. Okay, so it's general, right? So if you're a C program, you have to save your program with .c extension. The same way you have to do this with .cpp, right? So if you are using a Linux, right, there are GNU compilers available. Okay, what are GNU compilers are available? Okay, it is a G++ version. Okay, so if you type if you already install means G++ -v, you give, it will give you some running text. Okay, that ensures that you have installed it. Okay, right, you can visit the website gcc.gnu.org/install. Okay, so from this you can download a GCC, and for Mac OS, right, so you can use a GCC. Okay, and for Windows, right, you can use a MinGW. Okay, so which is a GCC compiler. So you have to install gcc-core and gcc-g++ and binutils, right, and the MinGW is a runtime, but you may wish to install more. Okay, so if you install a turbo, these are the compilers, right, which I told you that you have to install it by your own. Got it? You have to install it by your own. But if you install IDE like Eclipse and the code blocks and the Dev C++, it will give you the compiler by its own. You need not download it separately. Okay, so by default it will come. Okay, just download the Dev C++ and install. Nothing else you have to do. Okay, you will get the output then and there. Right? So in companies and all, right, so for if you see Eclipse has a dedicated version for C and C++ developer. We have a CDT, right, a C development tools. Okay, that plugin you have to install in Eclipse. And code block is widely used. Okay, it's a very good IDE. What is called IDE first? See, IDE is actually a tool. So why do we use a tool first? So if you're using any screwdriver, right, so it makes your effort lesser. The same way this IDE makes our development time lesser. So the moment you type hash include, okay, it will give you the list of header files that you can download, okay, and use it in your program. Okay, so it has a lot of features. So the company will not write a code in Vim and then compile and then run. No, because they will be running at 20,000 lines or 30,000 lines of a code for developing an application, right? So it is not easy to maintain. Okay, so they use what? They use IDE. Okay, here I am going to use as a code block. First, let's see how to write a simple program in C++. Okay, it's getting open. Come on, make it faster. Yay, it's come. So this is how it looks, right? So it has a few windows, right, in which you can see projects that you have on the left hand side, and here in the start over you have area. So in this is a place where you write your C++ program, and this is a place you, I mean, the output will come, right? So it is a place where you will see the errors, right? So you have to see the errors and then it will tell you what you're supposed to do and where you have the errors. Okay, right? And coming to writing a simple program, first I need to create a file new and then empty class, right? So first I have to give hash. Let me just save. Okay, now once I save it, it will tell you what are all the things that I supposed to use. Okay, so say for example my give your file name as a meaningful name, my first cpp. Okay, then so it automatically it gives us what, save as type. Okay, so let me use a .cpp. Okay, then save. Now the moment I type hash, you see it is showing the list of hash include. Okay, then you have to use what, io stream dot h, and h is not required here. Next is what, int main. Next I have to open the curly brace. See, the moment I open the curly brace, immediately the close curly brace also comes, right? So what does it mean? So it helps us to close it. Okay, as a programmer we do a lot of mistake, right? We might have forget the close bracket in some places, that makes a error. So it is very difficult for us to match the closing bracket with its pair of open bracket. Okay, so if you use a nested functions and all, right, it will be very tough for you to find where it's opening and where it's closing and all. Okay, so this will be solved and it reduces the development time. Okay, so what I can do with this, so first the cout. Okay, this is my first cpp program. Okay, and then because I give a return, the int, I have to use return 0. Okay, return 0 means I'm not going to return anything. Okay, so just save it, Control S, and then you click this red color button. It'll ask you to build and give yes. And it says a cout, yeah, so which means I have not included the using namespace. That I have to type using namespace std. Okay, so once I give this save and then compile, it'll ask you again give. So it is getting ready. Okay, so I got the output. This is my first C++ program. Just press any key so that it will come out. Okay, I hope you have understood how to run a C++ program, right? So this is the first C++ program. Next, let me explain what is the each line here. So this is the header file, right? Okay, see, before you recognize any person in your mind, first that person should be in your mind, then only you will recognize, right? The same way your C++ program will not recognize the what is cout, what is int and all, right? So it's supposed to be intimated to the compiler that these are the functions I have and these are the keywords I will use. So that must be intimated through the header files, right? So that's why we call it as header file. So when the moment I declare iostream.h, the iostream.h is actually a header file which consists of many data types. Okay, data types, the functions that we need. So here the cout is a one of the function. Okay, so which is there in the iostream.h. Okay, the cout is used for printing statement. Okay, it is for printing. So the cout will print the text. Okay, right? And the int is this is called the return type. Here the int is called the return type. Okay, so here I returning 0. Returning 0 means what? 0 is a null value, it's nothing, right? So in the same way I am using a 0. And next is what? It's a main. Okay, so the main is a function from where your C++ program execution starts. Okay, right? So this is what about the C++ first program. Okay, fine. Okay, so let me give you a recap, right? So I just spoke about what is program, right? The program is consist of input, output, right, and the mathematical operations and decision making and repetitions. Okay, the input is what we give in the keyboard, right, and output what we see as a result of the input. Okay, and the operations are called the math, simply given the math. Okay, instead of saying operation, so I given a math. Okay, so we'll be not performing only the addition subtraction, we'll be performing more. Then decision making. Okay, and then the repetitions. Okay, so a C plus is actually an extension of what? It's a C and a superset of C and better than C.